What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video reporting live from inside the top 1000 in FPL. Here is my Game Week 30 team selection. Welcome back to another video, everyone. FPL Harry here, and today it is Game Week 30 team selection time. How I'm going to line up any potential transfers, any injury news as well. Plus, we'll be having a quick review of how I got on in Game Week 29. Of course, Game Week 29, I played my bench boost. You can see my scores up on screen now. And then if I highlight in blue the players I actually would have had on my bench in my bench boost, you can see it went okay. I did take a -12, but of course, 145 points is nothing for me to complain about. With the -12, 133 net, plus it moved me up from 1.4k up to 868th in the world. Absolutely buzzing with that. For the first time playing this game, I'm inside the top 1000. However, there were a few potential changes to my team that I did make that haven't gone very well, actually. I did sell Harry Kane, who scored, brought in Dominic Solanke. I did sell Bukayo Saka, who I now don't have in my team, plus the Manchester United guys. Luke Shaw looks like he's picked up an injury, and Bruno Fernandes as well. However, up front, particularly where a lot of the points were, particularly Ollie Watkins scoring that 17 point. Anyone who brought him in a couple of weeks ago for Erling Haaland is loving life at the moment. Ivan Toney, Dominic Solanke both getting goals as well. Plus the Brighton duo in midfield, particularly Matoma, who continues to perform well, continues to absolutely outshine the rest of those Brighton mids as well. Defensively, it was okay. We had that Newcastle clean sheet against Manchester United, plus Ben Chilwell and Kepa both getting a clean sheet in there against Liverpool. And finally, David Raya with no clean sheet, but some massive save points as well. So buzzing with it, but let's have a look at my plans for Game Week 30. Now, the big thing about my squad is I'm actually missing some quite highly owned players going into this week, which could really damage my rank if they do well. And I need to potentially think about which of these I can buy back. Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, two players I took out for hits in Game Week 29. Now, Maddison didn't get anything, but it does look Maddison might be okay going into this. He looks like he's been cleared in the press conference, and he was only cramp in the Game Week 29 fixture where he did limp off towards the end of the game. But no Bukayo Saka for this one, and then West Ham next week as well. It's worth remembering that I will be playing my free hit in Game Week 32. So that Southampton at home fixture I don't need to worry too much about. The other one being Harry Kane, of course, Brighton at home this week, which is probably more difficult than maybe it looks on paper. And then Bournemouth at home next week, the fixture that really scares me. But of course, both of these two don't have a double in Game Week 34, which is what I'm really planning towards. So I don't necessarily think I'm going to have a route back to either of them unless there's potential injuries in my squad that I don't know about at time of recording. So I'm going to have to go without both of those, I think, for the next couple of weeks. Erling Haaland is a big one, and it was always penciled in that we'd go and buy him back this week for Ivan Toney, and if he is going to be fit and available, I still think I'll make that move. And the other one is, of course, Mo Salah. Now, Liverpool and Mo Salah, of course, didn't look nearly back to their best against Chelsea, and Mo Salah was actually on the bench in that heavily rotated Liverpool side. I do still expect Mo Salah to be in the starting lineup for Liverpool in almost every game between now and the end of the season. Of course, there was Ramadan and he was fasting, which might have had a bit of a decision to make for Klopp about why he didn't start in that game. However, I do think Mo Salah is still a player I'm likely to buy, whether I do it this week at home to Arsenal or whether I do it next week, probably best away to Leeds. So the transfer that, of course, I had planned to do in my team was to do Ivan Toney out to bring Erling Haaland back in. And if Erling Haaland is going to be fit and available to start in Game Week 30, I think I will still make this move because I do need a captaincy option in my team. I could, of course, captain Marcus Rashford against Everton, but at the moment, I would prefer to go and put it on Erling Haaland. The only concern for me is between Game Week 30 and 31, and then between Game Week 31 and 32 are the two Champions League games against Bayern Munich. And we do have a bit of concern about exactly how many minutes Erling Haaland's going to play in the Premier League when there is that to contend with as well. So I do plan on doing this. I need to wait for Erling Haaland's press conference, Pep Guardiola's press conference, to know if Erling Haaland is going to be fit for this weekend. Now, if Erling Haaland is going to be out, there are a couple of moves that I can make. James Maddison is flagged, but it looks like he's going to be fine. I could just do Maddison to Mo Salah because I'm not very impressed with the way Leicester are performing at the moment, but he does have Bournemouth at home, and I just think I can't afford to make that transfer this week given some of the other moves that I might potentially need to make in my team. Now, if Erling Haaland is out and we don't think he's going to play in either Game Week 30 or 31, particularly start in either of those, I could do Ivan Toney or even Dominic Solanke up to Harry Kane. I have the money in the bank to go and sell Solanke, and I could keep keep Ivan Toney for this week. Harry Kane, of course, no doubling game week 34, but the ownership of him against Brighton at home and Bournemouth at home in the next two is something I'm fearing a little bit. He isn't necessarily hauling, but those points are ticking along nicely. Those bonus points are coming in. He could do a lot of damage to me in the next couple of weeks. So I think Maddison looks like he's going to be fine. So that Maddison to Salah move is going to happen next week going into game week 31. But if Haaland is not going to be available, I could just go and buy Harry Kane this week. And then the final decision is what to do with Luke Shaw. Again, I'm waiting on the press conferences because although he has two nice fixtures in the next 2 weeks, I actually can get away with not starting him in my team until game week 34. And that is the double, and that is when I really want him to do, which is why it's not so obvious to go and sell him straight away. Now, that is about a month away, game week 34, and if it is a muscular problem, which it looked like it was, there's no chance he's going to be available. But I do just want to go and wait for that press conference to make sure that he wasn't taken off as a precaution rather than he's actually picked up the injury. In terms of his replacements, if he is out for a while, I could go and pick up Malacia at Manchester United, who looks like he's going to be the player who will stand in for Luke Shaw. Of course, they have two nice fixtures in the next two, then they double in game week 34, and if he's going to start all of those, then I could just make the easy switch and save a little bit of money as well in my team. The other options that I have is I could use this as an opportunity to go and buy Stupinan back into my team. However, they do play Tottenham away, Chelsea away in the next two. From game week 33, when they play Nottingham Forest, I will definitely want him back. The attacking returns are definitely coming for him, and we saw the clean sheet away at Bournemouth in game week 29. I do want him back. I could use this as an excuse to go and buy him, but the next two, I don't really think I'm going to start him anyway. And then we have Manchester City defence. Now, I could go up to Trent, but I don't love the Liverpool defence at the moment. I want to see a little bit more from them, and actually who's going to keep starting and whether Trent and Robinson might miss out again between now and the end of the season. Manchester City do, of course, have a couple of nice fixtures. They double in game week 34, double in game week 37 as well. I'm looking at John Stones. I owned him earlier in the season. Really happy with how he plays. He's playing in midfield, which means he's pretty good for bonus. He has that little bit of attacking threat as well. So I could move Luke Shaw this week, go to John Stones, and that would allow me to play Stones over the next two. However, I do have the concerns with Stones, as I have with Erling Haaland, at exactly how many minutes he's going to get when they have the Champions League up and running. So looking at my team for next week, I am currently playing a 3-5-2, deciding to play both Brighton mids and actually benching Dominic Solanke this week, and it's good to see that James Maddison looks like he's going to be back and available. Without Ivan Toney picking up a suspension, he is starting for me. Now, if Luke Shaw is likely to be back and it's actually just a precaution, there is a small chance if Erling Haaland's not fit that I decide to roll my transfer this week. However, I think there is a good chance that I do make a transfer this week. It will either be Erling Haaland in or it will be Luke Shaw out, one of those two. Again, I need to wait on press conferences. At time recording, I think Ivan Toney to Haaland will be my move if, of course, we do see good and positive news from Pep Guardiola around Erling Haaland's fitness. Captaincy at the moment is on Marcus Rashford. I think that's the best option I've got at the moment in my team. Of course, if Haaland comes in, he will straight away take that captaincy armband against Southampton this week. Dominic Solanke is first on my bench. I do have Rico Henry who can come in, or I could go with Botman, both playing against each other in game week 30 to fill in for Luke Shaw if I don't make a transfer, and Luke Shaw is ruled out there. We're going to go with Kepa over David Raya. I think probably, although David Raya are at home, I do think Newcastle have looked very good, so I am just going to favour the double Chelsea defence, although with Chilwell in there as well and the Champions League starting, there could be more rotation on the horizon, particularly for Ben Chilwell, although the turnaround between matches are pretty good for Chelsea at the moment. So this is my game week 30 team selection at the moment. I'm penciling in Ivan Toney still to go and bring in Erling Haaland, and then of course we can go and buy Mo Salah in for James Maddison going into game week 31. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to try and hit 1,000 likes on the video, but more importantly, we are so close to 50,000 subscribers. We are about 100 away. If we could hit that before the game week 30 deadline, that would be absolutely fantastic. Good luck in game week 30 when it does roll around. Like and subscribe before you go, and I'll be back again very soon.